Let us now shift our focus indoors and understand a very important concept known as indoor air quality, commonly referred to as IAQ. Indoor air quality describes the condition of air inside buildings and enclosed structures where people live, work, or study. Poor indoor air quality caused by indoor air pollution directly affects the health, comfort, and overall well-being of occupants. Research has consistently linked poor IAQ to respiratory problems, reduced productivity at workplaces, and impaired learning outcomes in schools. This makes IAQ not just an environmental issue, but also a public health and educational concern. When we talk about indoor air pollution, its impact is especially severe in developing countries. In less developed regions of the world, indoor exposure to hazardous air pollutants is significantly higher, a point that has been repeatedly highlighted in exams. Traditional cooking practices play a major role here. Many households still rely on fuels such as coal, wood, animal dung, and kerosene for cooking and heating, and this detail has been directly asked in exams. This form of pollution, often referred to as household air pollution, affects nearly 3 billion people worldwide, with women and children being the most vulnerable due to prolonged exposure inside homes. To understand IAQ better, let's look at the common indoor air pollutants. One major source is second-hand tobacco smoke, which releases toxic chemicals into enclosed spaces. Indoor combustion activities also generate pollutants, including carbon monoxide. Other dangerous indoor pollutants include radon, asbestos, fibers, and carbon monoxide, all of which pose serious health risks. Volatile organic compounds also play a critical role indoors. A very important exam-focused fact is that the concentration of formaldehyde inside buildings can be 1,000 times higher than in outdoor air. Formaldehyde is a known carcinogen, making this a high-risk indoor pollutant. In addition, molds and allergens significantly affect indoor air quality. Remember this definition clearly? Allergens are substances that activate the immune system, and this has been asked in exams. The concentration of allergens indoors can also be 1,000 times higher than outside, especially in poorly ventilated spaces. Poor indoor air quality can lead to a condition known as sick building syndrome, or SBS. Sick building syndrome refers to a situation where people experience adverse health effects due to indoor air pollution. And yes, this definition has been directly asked in exams. In simple terms, polluted indoor air causes sick building syndrome. Some individuals who spend long hours inside certain buildings suffer from symptoms such as headaches, dizziness, fatigue, and irritation of the eyes, nose, or throat. A defining feature of SBS is that these symptoms worsen while a person is inside the building and improve or disappear after leaving the space, a characteristic examiners often expect you to mention. The causes of sick building syndrome are closely linked to poor indoor environmental conditions. One major cause is inadequate ventilation, which allows pollutants to accumulate indoors. Chemical contaminants released from indoor sources such as adhesives, upholstery, carpets, copy machines, and cleaning agents also contribute significantly, a point that has been asked in exams. Biological contaminants like mold, bacteria, and pollen further worsen indoor air quality and are frequently associated with SBS. In addition, other physical factors such as improper temperature, unsuitable humidity levels, and poor lighting conditions can also trigger or intensify sick building syndrome, another exam-tested observation. To communicate air pollution levels in a simple and understandable manner, we use a tool called the Air Quality Index, or AQI. The AQI is designed to report to the public an overall assessment of a given day's air quality, a definition that has been asked in exams. It translates complex air pollution data into a single number that reflects health risks. Simply put, a higher AQI value indicates higher pollution levels and greater health concerns. The AQI does not depend on just one pollutant. Instead, it integrates air quality data from multiple criteria pollutants. These commonly include particulate matter such as PM10 and PM2.5, nitrogen dioxide, sulfur dioxide, carbon monoxide, ozone, and in some cases lead a comprehensive list that examiners frequently test. In this context, it is important to remember that total suspended particles and PM10 are types of particulate matter pollutants used in AQI calculations, and nitrogen dioxide is also included while estimating the air quality index, both of which have been directly asked in exams. In India, air quality is monitored and reported using the National Air Quality Index, commonly known as NAPI. This index was launched in New Delhi on September 17, 2014 as part of the Swachh Bharat Abhiyan. The NAPI classifies air quality into 6 categories: good, satisfactory, moderate, poor, severe, and hazardous, making it easier for citizens to understand pollution levels and associated health risks. The Indian NAPI considers 8 pollutants measured over short-term averaging periods of up to 24 hours in accordance with National Ambient Air Quality Standards. These pollutants include PM10, PM2.5, nitrogen dioxide, sulfur dioxide, carbon monoxide, ozone, ammonia, and lead. You should specifically remember that sulfur dioxide pollutants are included in India's Air Quality Index, as this detail has been asked in exams. By tracking these pollutants, the NAPI provides a comprehensive picture of air quality and helps guide public health advisories and policy decisions.